General Liz Murrill threatens to remove several elected New Orleans leaders from office, and that includes Mayor Helena Moreno.
As Chris Joseph reports, Moreno says she won't back down and suggested Murrill's threat may be illegal. Chris.
Yeah, the threat deals with the city council's decision to appoint Calvin Johnson as interim clerk of Orleans Parish Court. Now, Murrill sent letters to Johnson, Moreno, 5 city council members, and District Attorney Jason Williams. New Orleans voters elected Mayor Helena Moreno, this city council, and Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams to lead the city. Attorney General Liz Murrill threatened to try to remove most of them from office. On Wednesday, she sent letters to the leaders saying they are usurping Parish Civil Clerk Chelsea Richard Napoleon's office. Mike Sherman is a political analyst for Fox 8.
I have never seen in the modern era a Louisiana Attorney General threaten the majority of the New Orleans City Council and major citywide elected officials over a dispute that would likely be resolved in the civil court system.
Moreno and Council President J.P. Murrill quickly pushed back.
Receiving an unsolicited letter trying to intimidate the council into preventing the courts to weigh in on the matter is kind of beyond bizarre.
I will not be intimidated or threatened by the state attorney general.
The conflict began this spring. State lawmakers put Napoleon over both the city's civil and criminal clerkships after they abolished the criminal office, an elected position won by Calvin Duncan. On Monday, a majority of city council, led by Murrill, argued the lawmakers created a new joint clerk office. They argued state law required the council to appoint an interim clerk, Calvin Johnson, and set a new election to give voters a chance to pick their elected joint clerk.
The council shall call a special election and elect an interim. So I would argue the council doing nothing could be breaking the law.
The council effectively voted to remove Napoleon from her elected office. She filed a lawsuit asking a Baton Rouge judge to declare her clerk.
The clerk's office is fully functional. So as such, is the goal to create chaos where there is none? Are we called here today to talk about the law or politics?
She remained working in the courts on Tuesday. In her letters, Murrill challenged the leaders to back off their support for Johnson and the new election. If not, she says Johnson could face imprisonment or fines. And she says she could try to remove the elected leaders from their offices, which could pave the way for Republican Governor Jeff Landry to appoint new leaders for heavily Democratic New Orleans.
Do you think it gets to that point?
I don't see any of the council members, the mayor, the DA, actually ending up in jail over this or having their offices taken away. But what I do see is an escalating back and forth between state and city officials. And the only way to resolve this matter is through court cases.
It is surprising that the attorney general put all of this in a letter, considering that there is a criminal law, which is revised statute 14122, that prohibits intimidating or threatening a public official in an effort to try to influence a decision or change their position.
Moreno says the letters also raise ethics and professional conduct issues, and the clerk dispute should play out in court.
The bottom line, I'm not going to be threatened, I'm not going to be intimidated, and I won't back down.
Napoleon's lawsuit is scheduled to be heard on Monday. Now, the 5 council members who received a letter released a video response just minutes ago. They said they won't be intimidated and look forward to their day in court. I have reached out to Williams' office for a response as well. Liz?